I was born on the 21st of April, 1937. I was born in a place called Raniket, which is in Uttar Pradesh, northern India. We lived there for 3 years. My father was in the Royal Artillery, and he was posted to India. And because it was quite hot where he was, we were sent up into the hills where it was much cooler. And that's where I was born there. My mother told me that by the time I reached 3, I could speak fluent Hindi. And we had servants, and she said I was always conversing with the wallahs, as they called them there, who helped with the housework. But I don't really remember too much about what I did. I've got pictures of me on a bicycle and wearing my dobi, which is the hat or whatever. And in fact, when I came home, I was told never to take it off. When I came home to England, I kept it on as there for a while because I thought I was supposed to. We came back by boat, and my mother and me, and it took us 6 weeks from India to England. That was in 1940. I went to school in Our Lady of Grace, Charlton, primary school, and I was there until 11, after passing the old 11 plus exam as it was. And from there I went to St Joseph's Academy, Blackheath, which was a grammar school, and I was there from 1948 to 1953. We tended to go to holiday camps, mainly Pontins or Butlins. They were the holidays that we had. We didn't go abroad with my parents at all. So as growing up, it was really just holiday camps. My mum's name was Florence Balsam, and she was born in Woolwich, I think. My dad was obviously born in Tipperary, and he came over and joined the artillery, which was stationed at Woolwich, and that's how my mum and dad met. She had quite a few different jobs. I mean, he was always in the artillery. He was a farrier, looked after the horses, and even when he came out of the army, he did 22 years. He's carried on being a farrier, and I can always remember, we lived in Greenwich at the time, and he would come home sometimes with his ribs all plastered up where the horse has kicked him and broken his ribs. That happened several times. And he gave that up after about, 3 or 4 years, and then he went to work as a bank messenger for one of the banks, NatWest or something like that. My mum always worked in factories. She worked Peak Freens, biscuit people in Bermondsey. My granddad and grandmum, they were Sarah and Ted. He worked on the river. Little small man, smoked a pipe. I don't ever know if my gran worked. I don't think so. She had 12 children. 12, of which I think 6 died, at birth or early on. And the other 6 were my mum and 2 sisters, and then 3 boys, who I used to see quite regularly. But I can always remember my gran, fantastic lady, absolutely. All she did was cook, wash and clean. That's all she ever did, 7 days a week. The only time she ever went out was Sunday night. They took her down to the pub and she had a couple of Guinnesses. Whenever you went there, you had to have something to eat. She would cook you a breakfast, whether you'd had one already or anything. She used to work on an old mangle, for the washing and everything. Wonderful lady. Absolutely wonderful. I adored her. I remember once she was sitting down cuddling one of the babies, one of the grandsons, and she was listening to the Goon Show, and she never woke up. She died. Broke my heart. Really did. She's a lovely lady. Really lovely lady. Sarah Balsam. I had a wartime memory. When we were living in Parkchester in Greenwich, my mother was walking up there with me to go to the primary school, and as we were walking, a doodlebug went overhead. It's a bomb that the Germans used to send over, and it would have flames spitting out the back, and it only had a certain distance. And when the flame stopped, the bomb dropped. And she grabbed hold of me and lay on the floor, and this thing passed over. And within about 20 seconds, it stopped and dropped. Boom. down it came. It didn't hit us or a feather, but I remember seeing that doodle bug just above. It was no more than probably a couple of 100 feet above me, My mum and dad and myself, we used to go across just the road. At the bottom of the Maze Hill, there was these lovely houses, and they used to go and play cards every Sunday night. And I got fed up with it once, and I kicked up a little bit of a stink. And I said, can't we do something different? I kept on and on and on. So they said, yeah. And there was a place at Deptford called the New Cross Empire, where they had comedy acts, and we all went there that evening. And when we come back, that house that we played cards in was a pile of bricks. Bomb had landed on it. We would have all been killed. My first job I got with a firm of accountants in Lewisham, and I was there for 2 years, from 53 to 55. I got called up to National Service on the 1st of December 1955 to the RAF, and I did 2 years National Service. I was, after training, I was posted to a place called Middle Wallop, which is down in Hampshire, and they put me down as a fighter plotter, which meant that you were underground and pushing those things around on the map and everything, which I didn't fancy at all. A chap came round one day while we were down there still doing this training, and he said, would anybody like to be in the RAF PT display team? Well, my hand shot up quicker than you can imagine, because I loved gymnastics and football and rugby and anything to do with sport. And so I went off to a place called in Halton in Aylesbury, and we trained for 6 weeks solid. And then after that, so for the rest of my time, was spent doing shows all around the country. We did one at the interval of a speedway match on Wembley Stadium. It was on the Wembley pitch, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I do remember getting, over a weekend, a 3-day pass. And I was right up in the northeast of Scotland, right up near Dundee. With this pass, I hitchhiked home. I got lifts with people in lorries and cars. I jumped on the back of a railway truck, and that weekend I met up with me, whatever friends were around. And next door, where I lived in Greenwich, there was a bookmaker, and I read in the paper about this horse called Sunrise, and it was running in the Northumberland Derby, Northumberland Plate. And I put £0.50 crown each way on it, which was the equivalent of a quarter of my week's wages. And the horse won at about 100 to 6, and I won a £5, and that's a month's wages for me in the RAF. So I didn't go back. I went AWOL. And I was a day late going back. I didn't think anybody knows. So I climbed over the fence at the back of the station, broke into the MO's office and forged my signature to say I had been there for medicine. And lo and behold, I got away with it. Nobody knew I'd gone AWOL. And that was the end of my service. Came out in 1957, December. The people who I'd worked with as an accountant got in touch with me. They wanted me to go back. So I did go back. And I stayed there. I was made a partner in later life, and I stayed there for the rest of my working life until I left there in 2002, and I had a successful career there. And now golf took over then, and I've been playing golf now for the last 10, 15 years, travelling all over. Been to Ireland, been to France, playing golf. I enjoy it. Getting more and more hopeless at it, but I still enjoy it. It's a great leveller, and I thoroughly enjoy the 19th most of all. When my dad came back from the war in 1945, he took me down the valley. I supported him ever since. And I've been all over the country. So I've probably been to about 30 or 40 different grounds, We've had our ups and downs, obviously. Lots of relegations, lots of promotions. 2 wonderful playoff victories. 25th of May 1998 when we beat Sunderland 7-6 on penalties. And then just recently, 2 or 3 years ago, we beat them again in extra time, didn't we? 2-1. Great days, great days. And we got married down at Woolwich Town Hall in 1984. in June. I know that because there's a thing in the hall there. I see it every day. And before the marriage, we were getting married at 2:00. We went in this pub opposite. It was called the Director General. And we were in there about, 1:00. And Eve said, we haven't got any witnesses. So I said, oh, do we need witnesses? She said, yeah, we need 2 witnesses. So anyway, we were having a drink, and I looked up at the bar, and there was a chap there, and a crowd of, so 2 blokes and a load of women, and that, all having laughing, having a good time. So I went up to them. I said, sorry to interrupt, but see that lady sitting down there? She said, yeah. I said, we're getting married in half an hour's time. We need 2 witnesses. Could you help us out? Of course we can, he said. His name was Nicholas something. He was the solicitor just over the road. So they came over, and 2 of them came in and were witnesses for us. And when we came out, all the other ones had got a load of confetti and threw it all over us. And we went back in the pub with them and bought them champagne, and it was hilarious. It was good. And then we drove all the way to York for our honeymoon. We stayed in York for 2 or 3 nights. So that was the story of the wedding. Eve has regularly got in touch with this Nicholas. I forget his other name, but he said he's lived off that story so many times. He's told it to people. He said it's hilarious. I've got some real arseholes for grandsons, Now we've got some lovely, lovely grandsons who've helped us out. They really are, and we think the world of them. And the grandkids, we're very, very happy with our lives at the moment. Our health is the most important thing. You have to get on with what you meet. And really, I think we're very, very lucky people. Life is lovely. So what I say to everybody, enjoy it while you can.